I've been reading about a very interesting archetype, Baba Yaga. We're going through a season that is rather dark in many ways. Here in the UK, I want to keep my fire lit and my hearth burning, which brings me to Baba Yaga.
There's a path through the thistle, past the graves of old kings, where the willow weeps secrets and the blackbird still sings.
The tale is about the too good mother dying. When the feminine, or even maybe the masculine, feels it needs to be too good. But the tale of Baba Yaga, it gives us many warnings. It starts in a small cottage where the fire goes out, and there's evil stepmother and ugly sisters, as there often are in these folk tales and fairy tales. And the poor Cinderella type, who is put upon and goes without shoes and has to tend to everybody else, is sent off into the darkness to go to Baba Yaga, who is the keeper of the fire.
They painted me wicked for knowing the truth, for speaking in riddles and gathering roots. But the trees keep their promise, the crows keep their cry, and the moon knows the names that they buried in lies.
The stepsisters and mother, they know that she is going to die. But when we talk about dying and that kind of evil, if you look at a folk tale such as this one, where every single archetype in it is one and the same person, and those splinters of the evil stepsisters and mother are more the inner critic, that message that always says, you can't do it. You have to think about your entire life. You're going to fall over. You're going to fail. You're not as rich as you need to be. You're not as thin as you need to be. But those voices never go. And you can't sever yourself from that because you either feed it or you don't feed it. But why they know, those shards know that she is going to die, the innocence on the journey to Baba Yaga is going to die, it's because that is the idea of the journey. It's a transfiguration. It's the sweetness and the innocent and the servitude and the giving and the open heart realizing that it has to protect itself and that one has to treasure their own energy and heart and mind, virtues and values. So there is going to be a death, because when that death happens, there is more authority and strength and power to hold back the ugly sisters and the stepmother.
So I rise, so I ride on a wind full of whispers they try to deny.
So, on the journey in the dark wood, with owls hooting and twigs breaking and the sense of predators could be anywhere, with just some moonlight casting down onto a path that bends and winds. The innocent girl on the journey, the heroine or the hero, sees a hut. Now this hut, because they always appear in fairy tales and folklore, is absurd. It's like some kind of Dali dream nightmare. It's on chicken legs, it's spinning around, there's cobwebs that are probably blue, and everything is upside down, and like a group of children have come along and just made whatever they want to make of some kind of strange idea, fantasy. And then, of course, there is the hag, the gnarling, evil-eyed, but very almost gypsy-like eye that can see around corners and can penetrate through veils to be able to see the future, that takes no rubbish and can put you and everybody and everything to the test. You ask any man if he is afraid of the hag. You ask any woman if she is afraid of the hag. So the Baba Yaga, she looks up and down at the innocents, and she knows that you are no match for me, my dear. But she is fair, and she sets tasks. There is a pile of dirt on one side and a pile of dirt on the other side, and she gives 2 days. 1 day to sort the corn, which represents life, from the dirt, and another day, if that task is succeeded, to separate poppy seeds. Poppy seeds symbolize endings and death. So the innocence is all about, if you will, a kind of risk assessment, new beginnings and having the courage to trust and move forward, and endings, exit strategies, taking risks but knowing when you have to leave and when things need to die, letting go. All of this is about mobility and not getting trapped or stuck, but understanding that this is the cycle of life.
The castle forgot me, the court turned away, but the forest remembers each vow that they break.
Now, the innocent girl has a small doll in her pocket that her mother gave her. And this is the heritage and the legacy and the conscience that is her own, and the familiar. This being able to look at a doll, as we all know, to see a projection of self. So rather than see oneself reflected in the faces of others, where we reach to find trust, hopefully in feedback that is going to resonate to give us a sense of guidance and edges, the doll keeps this close. It is something private that one can talk to and see as a compass and a face of familiarity. And her mother gave it to her whilst she's on her journey to let go of the too good mother and find the hag Baba Yaga. Now the doll says, don't worry about this. I'll sort it for you. And herein is another lesson. That sometimes being too conscious and applying our minds here in this realm of the 2D and pecking and pushing and thinking we know everything is not always going to help. Put your foot on the gas and try harder will not help. Seeing a mountain and getting overwhelmed and thinking, how am I going to do this with such time constraint? I must really apply myself will not help. This is a lesson in faith and trust and letting go, to recognize there is day and there is night. And at night we may not be here and be conscious, and we are in the dream world, in the place where symbols and the absurd can make sense, where fragments come together. The refresh and the revitalization and the faith in the darkness. This is the tale, where the small doll says, you sleep, my dear, and rest, my dear, and all will be well. And she does, and the tasks are done by the doll. And Baba Yaga, well, she wanted to devour the innocents, but she is fair, and the tasks have been completed. So she goes into her small hut, and she comes out, and she has a skull on a stick. Now this skull has fire burning inside. And the girl is terrified of it. She's used to daisies and buttercups and sunlight and combing her hair with a silver comb. She's been protected in many ways and naive. But now she has to take accountability and responsibility, and she has to see. And the skull on the stick given by Baba Yaga is a fire that can burn through veils and see forward into the future, where the girl now has a responsibility, but also has a power, the power of foresight, to walk her own path, to ignore the ugly sisters and the stepmother and everything they say, to stand tall and say, I am going to go anyway. But, and this is where it gets scary and the horror comes in, for the good mother to die and to have the sight of fire, the flames that burn within so one can see and forge ahead one's own destiny, one has to also accept the gut-wrenching disappointment that comes with the veils falling down.
They painted me wicked for knowing the truth, for speaking in riddles and gathering roots. But the trees keep their promise, the crows keep their cry, and the moon knows the names that they buried in lies.
And what do I mean by the veils falling down? That one can look at a smile from a friend and see envy leaking through the teeth.
So I rise, so I ride on a wind full of whispers they try to deny.
That one can look at the prospect of a romance and see a dagger and a trap and snare behind the back.
Let the tales twist and coil, let the story unwind.
That one can have a whimsical idea that perfection lays ahead and utopia and paradise, if one is just good enough, dissolves.
Let the tales twist and coil, let the story unwind.
To burned ruins.
I'm the witch, I'm the flame, I'm the once upon a time.
With only a thin path.
The prince never came, but I danced with the storm, wore a crown made of thorns and a cloak soft and warm. I brewed my own ending in a chalice of stars. They burned all the pages, but they couldn't burn scars.
That leads through to a more realistic landscape.
So I rise, so I ride on a wind full of whispers they tried to deny.
There is a huge lesson, because when she gets back home and she has the skull on the stick with the fire, the stepsisters and the stepmother, they knew she was going to die, and we know that she changed. There was a death of a sort of hope. So they light the fire. But the skull keeps watching them. It observes and it takes notes. It doesn't go on blind trust anymore. And it also teaches us and realises that one doesn't have to change anything. The too good mother and the naivety and the innocence, the Cinderella that would serve and tend to people's feet and do everything that she was asked to be accepted. Well, now, the skull watches. And she burns within and has to learn that there is a suffering and a pain and a grief, that there is disappointment, and there is a sense of despair. Because there is a loss of control and there is a maturity that comes saying, do not chase the romance that has the trap behind his back, because you cannot teach him. No love, no goodness, no giving, no tending will change. One can see that maybe there are the pressures that come down that drive people into their hate. There can be empathy and understanding, But sometimes we need to realize and grow up and think that we can love people, but we don't always have to like them. We can respect others, but we don't have to trust them. And demanding and trying and controlling to make that any different is the immaturity of the young girl who had the too good mother that she was on a quest to find and embrace and keep and share and give to others. Or not being able to let go of childhood and an innocence of when we were taken care of. And the skull keeps looking and keeps showing. But what comes with that is choice. Is to see the leaking and the slipping of the mask and let go to say that this will remedy itself. I will keep walking forward and I will be gracious. But I will not chase. And I will not try to change. That is the beautiful, wonderful story of Baba Yaga and touching the hag within, taking the trials, the challenges and the tribulations, coming from cinders like a phoenix from the ashes, to find a new guide and lantern, a realistic one, that the hag and all the horrible things that we're going to have to deal with in life, the messiness of birth, the visceral tearing and soreness of change, the fears and the anxieties of not being able to control things around us. That's what the skull burns up when it keeps observing without any need to change. And in this story, the stepmother and the ugly sisters turn to ashes. Having the skull with the fire gives one the ability to be more agile and adaptable. And in many ways, to love from a stronger point of view. Every beginning has many, many, many different ends.
Let the tales twist and coil, let the story unwind. And I'm the witch, I'm the flame, I'm the once upon a time. The prince never came, but I danced with the storm, wore a crown made of thorns and a cloak soft and warm. I brewed my own ending in a chalice of stars. They burned all the pages, but they couldn't burn scars. So I rise, so I ride on a wind full of whispers they tried to deny. Let define.